Hi everybody, I'm Jill Chodak. I am a registered dietitian with the UR Medicine's Center for Community Health and Prevention, and today we are going to make lentil soup in honor of Heart Health Month. It is a heart healthy dish. It is high in fiber, low in saturated fat, and it's one of my favorites. I made it with my 9-year-old. So I hope you enjoy it. So I'm gonna kind of do some fun camera work, try and get you to see it all. But the idea is it's one pot, so you're putting it all in and kind of letting it sit so that we can kind of handle our busy lives. And we're maximizing nutrition without getting too fancy, but it still has a lot of flavor. And then that's easier cleanup on the back end as well, because it's like one pot and a knife and whatnot. So okay, let's get started. I'm going to angle this down so you can see everything I'm doing. Okay, so first step is getting everything in place. So it has very few ingredients, but it's ones that I generally have in my pantry or in my fridge. So I always have onions on hand, so we're going to do 1 onion. It calls for 3 to 4 carrots, and I generally have baby carrots on hand, so I'm going to use those. Those are already peeled, which is nice, but you could use regular carrots, and those would be 3 to 4 big carrots. I have celery. Again, it's just what was kind of available. I have already pre-cut celery sticks because we make ants on a log, which is so fun. So I have these. It has lentils. It's going to be 1 cup of lentils. Look, these are kind of cool. These have both the green lentils and the red lentils. You can use either. We're going to use green because it's at the top of this. We have extra virgin olive oil, which is going to be our kind of cooking liquid thing to saute everything. I've got diced tomatoes in puree. I would prefer the fire roasted, but this was all I could find. This is the size of the can that I used. So this is a 28-ounce can. You can use half of this, and it will be a little bit less tomatoey. I think that's what the recipe calls for, or you can use it all. It just really depends on your preference. And then I have a whole boatload of spices that I have out. And so again, you want to get everything ready to go because then it just goes a lot quicker. So I have the soy sauce for an added sodium component. This is a low sodium, so it's heart healthy. As far as kind of controlling, some people are trying to control blood pressure and some people are salt sensitive, so controlling sodium helps with their blood pressure. So low sodium on this guy, but it still add flavor and a little bit of sodium. And then we're using the flavorings, we're using spices. So I have thyme, cumin, ginger, turmeric, and my secret ingredient that's not on the recipe is ground mustard. I put this in a lot of things, and it just generally imparts a flavor that makes people go, I wonder what's in there. And then I got a regular old vegetable broth. I would have preferred a low sodium, but this was what they got. It's a pandemic, so that's kind of what we're working with, okay? So, and this is how I start generally any recipe. Oh, and I had a dry red wine in here. I love adding wine to my cooking because it adds flavor, but the alcohol cooks away. So I ended up getting a bunch of these for Christmas, which was awesome. This is exactly 1 cup, and I'm going to use it because it's a nice, cute little bottle, and it's dry, and I would drink it normally. So a Cabernet Sauvignon, a Syrah, a Zinfandel, any type of dry red wine is going to work really well here. Okay, so we're going to start by cutting the onion, and I don't like working with all these pieces, so I'm going to get rid of those. Okay, and so how I cut my onion is I cut off each end, because you want a flat work surface so you don't cut your fingers. So I'm cutting the ends, and then I'm going to cut it in half. Okay, and you peel off this outer, funky layer there. It's very fibrous, but not in a good way. So I'm going to do that on both sides. And the fresher the onion that you have, the more it's likely to make you cry. I do cry at onions. So you can see I've got this onion here. I'm going to slice it in half very carefully. And then I'm going to do little kind of slits. I'm not going all the way through. My eyes are already going, right? So I didn't go all the way through. I think they do this on the Food Network. And then you just this is an easy way to dice it without having to do much work. You want the pieces to be about the same size, give or take. This one always Oh, guys. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the other side. This must be really fresh. Okay. And if you have a problem, oh my God, look at my eyeballs. Oh. If you have a problem with onions like I do, there are several tricks on the internet you can do. I have not found one that works for me yet. So I just kind of grin and bear it. Okay, so I'm gonna put that to the side. So basically what we're doing is we're cutting all the things that we need to cut first. I opened the can that I needed to open, and we're getting that all cut because then once it gets going, it goes quick, and then you kind of let it simmer. So I'm gonna approximate how much carrots would be, like 3 carrots. So it's also what you like. Like if you hate carrots, leave the carrot part out, you know. You could put something else in there. You could also add potatoes, although I find that there's enough starch with the lentils. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut these. And when we talk about heart healthy recipes, I know I mentioned that at the beginning, what we're looking for are things that protect our heart, right? So we know that fiber, diets high in fibers, like the Mediterranean diet, help to protect the heart, among many other things. And so generally, women need 25 grams of fiber a day and men need 30 in order to get the adequate amount to actually be a heart healthy diet. So fiber comes from things that we're putting in a soup. So it comes from vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, whole grains, beans, peas, lentils. It's not just like having a salad every day, right? So that's what we're doing. These things are naturally high in fiber, like carrots and onions and things, and they are lower in saturated fat, which is the thing that can increase your LDL cholesterol. So we're amping up fiber to take down the saturated fat. And as you can see, there's my dog Murphy. So I'm just kind of doing quick chops there. You can, if you have regular carrots too, you could leave the skins on. I generally do. I just give them a good wash because they're dirty. Okay, there's that. And then I think I said 3 to 4 celery stalks, so that's about 1, 2, 3. These got frozen in my fridge. Ooh. I think that's gonna be enough celery. Use your gauge, you know, and the goal of this soup, honestly, it was my son and I was strapped as to what to cook for dinner, and we wanted to experiment, and I had to get rid of a lot of veggies in my fridge. And so we kind of just threw something together with the pantry and the fridge stuff, which is sometimes the best. So this recipe itself, we were just talking about fiber, and so if you're a woman and you're trying to get fiber, it's about 8 grams per meal. Will get you to the 25-ish. And for men, it's about 10 grams of fiber per meal to get you to the 30 marker. This meal has 15 grams of fiber, so you've already you've almost had 2 meals worth of fiber in this one pot dish, which is why it's heart healthy. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some extra virgin olive oil, and we're not doing super high heat cooking, which is why it's okay. If you are gonna do a higher heat cooking where you're really searing and sauteing, you would want something like an avocado oil or something that is better with high heat, because this will break down and the olive oil will get all burned and smoky and won't taste good. So I have what's called a Dutch oven, which I love, but you could use a regular stock pot, sauce pot, soup pot to do this. And so I'm just gonna, it takes a second because this one's thick to heat up. So I'm gonna let that heat up, and I'm gonna get ready with my other ingredients while it's heating up. So I'm gonna pour out my lentils. I need about 1 cup of dry lentils. Now, you wanna use a dry measure. You don't wanna use the same thing that you were gonna use for measuring out your stock. So this is a liquid measure. You measure all liquid in this type of thing, and you measure all dries in this. It does make a difference having to do with their volume. So I'm just gonna pour a cup of lentils up in here. Oh, look, we got little orange ones in there too. Okay, so it's about a cup, give or take. And I've already rinsed these. You can put these in a sieve and rinse them out to get any stones or anything out, but these are already good. And I'm gonna check, so it's still getting hot, so we wanna make it nice and hot. Okay, so that's measured out. I've opened my can of tomato sauce, or tomatoes and puree. So if you haven't done that, open your can. And then I am gonna also open my wine. This is important. We're getting everything ready. Ooh, that one was a tough one. Okay, I hear it. And getting ready. We're gonna get a teaspoon out. Teaspoon. And these are just, I guessed at what my measurements were because I don't really track. So if you don't like turmeric or you kind of don't know what it's all about, that's all right. Turmeric is kind of like a warm floral like note. It's kind of found in Indian cuisine. It is known for its antioxidant properties. Either way, I love using it because it's very flavorful. Adds like another note to the soup. Okay, and this is hot now. So I'm just gonna take this board. Look at how pretty. And I'm gonna pop it in here. Okay. And you're gonna saute it. You can see it kind of here. Let's see if I can move you closer. You just saute that for about 2 minutes or so. Let's see if I can get you a little closer. Okay, there we go. You hear the sizzle? So maybe about, these might take, because they were a little bit cold. If you leave your veggies out, they might be cook a little bit faster. About 3 minutes, 4 minutes. We want to see the onions get translucent. And everything else start to cook through. So you can see I'm kind of cooked down. I'm just stirring it. You don't have to be crazy about stirring it, but I'm just moving things around. And this is where we want to add the spices, because I find that I don't tolerate like raw spices very well. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of the turmeric. And it integrates the flavor. I'm going to do a teaspoon of the ginger. And you can stir them around a little bit so they don't burn on the bottom of the pan. Ooh, I had some rolled onions. Get back in there. Ooh, I can smell it already. Oh my gosh, turmeric and ginger. Magic. All right, cumin. It's coming. We use cumin a lot in this house. Okay. You can use it, it's like generally found in chilies or tacos or things of that nature. It's very, very tasty. Okay, and now I'm going to go thyme. This soup is far from boring. So often people say to me like, oh, I don't want healthy to be boring. This is far from boring. We're using so many spices. I'm just going to do a sprinkle of the mustard. And it really expands your kind of flavor profile. Okay, so you can see how it's kind of getting clumpy with all the spices. So this is when we add the soy sauce. So what did I say? 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. So we're just deglazing the pan. So that I added first just to kind of get things moving around. Okay. Whew, steamy. And it adds like this amazing component. I'm not adding salt to this if you notice because there's so much already in the other stuff. I am going to add a little pepper. Okay. Soy sauce is kind of cooked off. We're going to scrape the little bits. And now we're going to add the wine. I generally add it so that it covers the bottom of the pan. This is about 1 cup. And see how it's just covering the bottom there. It's great. And I'm scraping up all the little bits. So we're going to saute this for another like minute or 2. So this whole, I'm going to bring the heat down a little bit so it doesn't burn. This whole 1 serving of this soup has only 140 calories and less than 1 gram of saturated fat because it's vegan. So there's no animal protein or animal sources, animal food sources that would contribute to its saturated fat. There is a little bit in the olive oil. But so that's kind of the magic of having more of a plant-based style meal is that you get low calorie, high fiber. It still has almost 12 grams of protein. So often people think vegan, low protein, but that's not at all true. Okay, so that's cooking down. I'm going to add the lentils now. just to get them a little, like, before we add the broth, I'm gonna get them a little toasty. See how, and that needs to kind of come back up to like a little boil. And then there's no added sugars in this either. So the common things that we think about when we're talking about a heart-healthy diet are we want low saturated fat, we want high fiber, and we want to monitor added sugar. And we don't want a lot of that. So in this recipe, we don't have any of that. So it's kind of cool, and we have high fiber. So it's great. So it's a great way to kind of integrate all the things that you might think about for a heart-healthy diet. I'm just putting away my spices while that is going. See, and this is kind of like the meal too that you can kind of make where you're doing other things. Maybe the kids are like running around the house going crazy. Maybe it's after school and you're helping with homework. You really don't have to dedicate too much mind to it. And we're honestly almost done. So you can see how like the lentils are getting a little bit bigger. They're getting a little bit more bulky, and like the wine, it's wine. The wine is being absorbed, which is kind of cool. So that's when you know to start adding the broth. So I think I said, let's see what I say, 3 cups. So let's add 3 cups. And now some lentils will need more than this. So what I generally do is I add the 3 cups, I add the tomatoes, I add it all in, and I start cooking it down, right? It's gonna be simmering for about 20-30 minutes. If you find that it starts to get too dry, leave the broth out, the stock, and just add more. Just to what you like. So I'm gonna pour this all in there. Ooh, yeah. Okay. And then we're gonna add our tomatoes. I had some left over in the fridge, so I'm gonna add some of those. And I'm gonna add a little bit more because I like a little bit more tomato flavor, so we're gonna kind of go a little bit more on that. Okay. Fire roasted would give you a little bit more of a spicier vibe with this, which I like, but it's okay. Regular is just fine. And so we're gonna bring this back to a boil. And this would be the point where if you're gonna make it with, say, some rolls or some crusty bread, that I would put that in the oven or start thinking about that. So we're basically waiting to bring this to a boil, then we'll bring it down to a simmer and we'll let it cook for about 20 to 30 minutes till it marries all together. Okay, so it's just about ready to boil. You can kind of hear it going. And it's already getting a little thicker because of the lentils. You could add some other beans to it too. I love beans. Beans are very high in fiber and have a ton of other nutrition, and also add a lot of flavor and bulk, so that you're not eating the soup saying, oh my gosh, now I'm starving right after I eat dinner, right? We want to think about fat, fiber, and protein when we're thinking about satiety and feeling full. So we're getting the fat from the olive oil. We're getting the fiber from basically everything in the soup. And we're getting the protein from the lentils. Another way that you could round this out is, like I said, kind of adding bread, and maybe you do pair that, and then you'd have a little bit more fat from there. You could put avocado on here. That would add a healthy fat, and that would make you feel full. Lots of ways to amp this up. All right, so we're gonna let this go. We're gonna turn this down to a simmer and let this go for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then we'll check back in and see how it looks. Welcome back. So it's been about 20-25 minutes, and as you can see, the soup has kind of cooked down, gotten a lot more chunky. And look, you can kind of see where it was, where we started here, and now where it is. So 20, 25, 30 minutes is good. I left it uncovered. You can do kind of what you want. I wish you could smell this. It's so good. So now what we're gonna do is we've gone mobile, so I'm carrying this, so I apologize if it's shaky, but I wanted you to get a good peek. Look at that. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna spoon it out and see how it tastes, okay? So I got this awesome ladle that my son got for me. And look, it sits like that. Isn't that so cute? Okay, but anyway, all right, so I just have a higher rimmed bowl. Okay, so we're gonna spoon it out. There we go. Turn this baby off. Okay. And now we are going to try. Let's see if I can get you to see how this tastes. It's gonna be hot. So I also like pairing this with Triscuits, but look at that bite. So it's colorful. It's got lots of different textures and spices. You can add a ton to this. Like I said, you could, if you are not vegan or you have the space to add the saturated fat with the cheese, you could add some cheese on this. Like a Parmesan or something works. You could add avocado for a healthy fat. I always pair it with like a grain because it seems to go well. But really it's kind of totally just a good base recipe for a heart healthy dish on a cold day. All right, let's see how it tastes. Totally. The soy sauce makes a difference. It really, really does. I've left it out before and it doesn't work out. It just gives this little oomph. You could absolutely add other things, but just as it is, it's a wonderful, wonderful weeknight recipe that's done in one pot. So here's a look at it again. It can really sit for a little bit on the stove if you're kind of hosting a small gathering, and then it definitely can store in the fridge or the freezer. So that's it, guys. And so this, I wanted to show you this. This is all of our offerings at Well You Lifestyle Management. I hope you enjoyed our time together, and I'm looking forward to it again. Take care.